What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel, and I need something good to get me through it. I'm doing my taxes for the year. I feel disgusted. Oh, you think your taxes are bad in America? Come to Canada. The free healthcare. So I was able to flick on the Combine, and it's day 3 of the Combine. I'm going to try to give you my ups and downs, winners and losers for your defensive linemen, edge rushers, and linebackers. I saw, I was kind of like, they had like the DLs are all with, like, they didn't really have 3 different positions, I don't think. It seemed like they grouped in. It just looked weird for some of these positions because you had guys that were clearly defensive ends and guys that were clearly defensive tackles going together. And it just, the scopes, the optics of it didn't look great. But I'm going to try to give you guys my big winners and losers for the day. And we'll start with the defensive line. It looked pretty damn good from start to finish with the defensive linemen. We have some really big winners, guys that I've actually been kind of high on. If you've been watching my mock drafts, like Devon Hamilton from Ohio State, I had him mocked to the Eagles in my last mock draft in the 5th round. He's probably going to be gone. Put up 33 reps on the bench press, looked pretty good throughout the drills. Justin Matabuke from Texas A&M, 31 reps on the bench press. He looked really good throughout the drills. Laurel Murchison from NC State, he got 29 reps on the bench press. And then during, they did this like weird little, like, they kind of went around the hoops and stuff. He looked outstanding. Really, really good footwork in those drills. Jabari Zuniga from Florida, 29 reps on the bench press. Also had the second fastest 40-yard dash time, 4.64. As a Gator fan, he's solid. Especially seeing those athletic traits helps his stock a little bit, because when you watch him at Florida, he was much better as a run stuffer than he was getting out to the quarterback, getting sacks. As you can see, he's like, his TFL numbers were a lot higher. So I think Zuniga actually helped himself a little bit. Really solid. Again, Gators, on especially on the defensive side of the ball, generally have a very good reputation. And when they are somewhat hyped, they go mid-round. Derrick Brown from Auburn, who I think right now, if I'm doing a big board, he's top 5 for sure, if not top 3. He put up 28 reps in the bench press. His 40-yard dash line, which doesn't matter, was a 5.16. Solid for him. He's not going in a straight line. This guy's an absolute space eater that I think has a really high ceiling to eventually develop into a guy that's just completely well-rounded, a destructor. I think they were trying to draw a comparison during the Combine broadcast to him and Haloti Ngata. And I think there's a little bit difference in power because Ngata, I think he put up like 35, some crazy reps on the bench press. But from a style standpoint, hell yeah, I think they both can be the same style of just destroyer in the inside. There was a period of time, probably like a 2-3 year period, where Haloti Ngata was arguably the best defensive lineman. Can't be talking about some of the big boys inside without talking about my Canadian legend. Much like Chase Claypool, who dominated on the offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma. I had a kind of a fringe first-round grade at 305 pounds, 4.79 40. Not surprising. You look at his body of work. You look at, if you're giving him a scouting report, freak athlete. I know freak athlete really does lose its meaning around Combine time because it's just something that gets thrown out a whole lot. But Neville Gallimore was known to be an exceptional athlete. That's the same thing like Henry Ruggs running fast or Tristan Wirfs with the offensive line just showing out in all those drills. It's kind of expected. I think Neville Gallimore, his numbers don't surprise me whatsoever, but I'm glad he went and did it because sometimes you have very high expectations for players, and then once they get out there in shorts, they kind of disappoint from an athletic standpoint. You kind of left going like, that doesn't quite line up with what I was seeing, but definitely that is the case for Neville Gallimore. I think might have played himself, depending on where the draft board goes, he might have snuck himself into the first round, but I think for sure he's going to be a top 50 pick come April. So yeah, for the drills, like I said, the big winner for me for the drills, this is not just from bench press and running fast. Like I think it was Laurel Murchison. I really liked him going through the drills. I thought he was very, very smooth. I know the Davis twins from Nebraska were getting some hype. They tested very well athletically, given their athletic profile. But it's just, I guess you could say, walking away from the class, like Brady Ane from Utah, guy was kind of hyped, 4.93. Thought he'd be a little bit better than that. James Lynch from Baylor, not getting in the 4s, wasn't that great. Marlon Davidson from Auburn, I thought he could sneak into the 4s. He didn't do that. AJ Epineza from Iowa, he 5.04. Again, not terrible times. How many times are you going to see, especially for defensive linemen, the splits are a little bit more important. It shows that burst. But, I guess still generally from an athletic profile standpoint, a lot of these guys were a little disappointing when all is said and done. So then we came to the linebackers, and that's where we wanted to see guys run fast. Kenneth Murray was a big one. Patrick Queen was another. Low-key, if you knew about athletic guys, Willie Gay from Mississippi State. And then obviously the big fish in the sea was Isaiah Simmons. But we'll talk about Isaiah Simmons just right at the end. Guys that helped themselves. I will have to admit, I started doing my taxes and being depressed, and I didn't see a lot of the on-field drills for the linebackers. But just from, initial viewing, I was disappointed with a couple times there for sure. I thought Kenneth Murray would be, can't say you're disappointed with a 4.52, but when we saw the Devin Bushes, the Devin Whites, and you kind of have Kenneth Murray more in that mold, when he's just slightly in the next tier of athlete, it wasn't great, but a 4.52 is not a bad time at all, 38-inch vertical. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a first rounder. That's like one of the things I would like to say that I disagree with. It seems like a lot of people think Eagles need linebackers. Eagles are never going to spend a first round pick on a linebacker. But people are saying Kenneth Murray's a first rounder. Patrick Queen's a first rounder. I'm like, I don't know. I think those guys are going to be probably day 2 selections unless they were like blowing the doors off the place. I feel like they've kind of came about as is. Patrick Queen from LSU, 4.50. 35-inch vertical. He looks solid, but 4.50 at 200 and he's sub 230. Maybe we're looking for more freaky athlete if we're talking about guys that are going in the first round. Because linebackers, generally, it's. It feels like there's a perception that they don't value that position a lot, like safeties. But on the other hand, we've seen a lot of linebackers the last couple of years go in the first round. Devin White, Devin Bush, Roquan Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Tremaine Edmonds. But I don't know necessarily where Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen in particular line up with those guys athletically, because all those guys had insane athletic profiles, or they were more traditional size, like especially when we talk about someone like Patrick Queen, where he's a really good athlete, but I don't know if I could say he's an exceptional athlete, and he's a little bit smaller, versus someone like maybe Leighton Vander Esch, who might not have ran the blazing 40-yard dash time, but he's also 6'4" and like 240. So I don't think Patrick Queen or Kenneth Murray in particular hurt their stock, but I'm not going to say they solidify themselves as first rounders, in my opinion. But they could be. Again, it's depending on where teams' draft boards go. But Willie Gay Jr., I had him mocked to the Eagles late because he has a lot of off-the-field issues. I knew athletically he was going to be fast. He ran a 4.46, 39.5-inch vertical at 6'1", 243. I think that the off-the-field is going to be the biggest thing for him. I think he's probably going to go 4th round at the earliest, if not later. Depends, how all the interviews go. I haven't heard any reports, so there's been no rumors of how his interviews have gone. But he's a guy that comes with a lot of red flags. But if you want that gamble, and we see it all the time, like Tyreek Hill, you see it with Reuben Foster. Jesus Christ, he got pretty much kicked out of San Francisco, and then they needed linebackers. He still get picked up by the Redskins. And now, maybe once he turns it around, gets healthy, I think he tore his ACL, they might have an outstanding linebacker. So guys that have red flags, that are still an insane athlete like Willie Gay, they're going to get drafted. And he definitely helped his draft stock by showing how good of an athlete he is, because he doesn't have a whole lot of tape from Mississippi State, struggle staying on the field. But when you get a guy like that with a profile like that, there's going to be a team that's just going to be like drooling all over it, and they're going to want to bring him in. Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech also, he just ran the 40 because he's still recovering from an injury, but a 4.54 is pretty good for his time. At 240 pounds, he could be in that next tier of linebackers that get drafted. But the big dog, the guy that we're all here talking about, Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, 6'4", 240, running a 4.39 40-yard dash, 39-inch vertical. Just absolute insanity. As expected, I'm glad that he did not disappoint. I think he's right up there with Henry Ruggs for them, maybe even more so from an all well-rounded standpoint, because for Ruggs it was more so just the 40. For Simmons, it was everything. And for a guy that, if you're trying to find a nitpick of like, he doesn't really play a position, he plays everything. He plays defense. I think having a combine like this just continues to improve his draft stock. But he's going to be a polarizing player at the draft, because there are going to be teams that don't want to touch him because they don't know where to play him. And there's going to be other teams that see the utility, they see the Swiss Army knife ability that he brings to defense, they see the athletic profile, they see that he hit all these certain performance indicators at the combine. And he could go, like I said, 3, 4, something like. He could go to Detroit, he could go to New York if a team wants to fall in love with him enough. And he definitely solidified himself. But again, it comes back to what were we expecting? Like Neville Gallimore on the defensive line, we were all expecting Isaiah Simmons to have an insane combine. Did his stock really get helped much? Kind of, but not really, because this was what we were expecting. If it was anything lower, like if he ran 4.45 or something like that, people would be like, he's not as insane generational of an athlete as he is, but he is absolutely a generational athlete. And I think for my money, top 10 player in the draft, regardless of position. So, some guys made some money today. I wasn't overly impressed because I just think the defensive linemen were, they're not great athletes. You're getting more technician, more guys that are powerful, more guys that have, the powerful hands and punching versus the guys that are straight just, your Montez Sweat types and your crazy insane athletes. And I guess if it's not always about the athletes in the gym, it's about the players. Like Epineza doesn't flash elite traits, but still, in my opinion, top 15 player in the draft. It's just more from I'm sitting around. It's the NFL offseason. From a combine standpoint, not a lot of these players from the defensive line edge groups really made you go, wow, okay. Let's talk about that. Let's see what they're doing. So at least we had Isaiah Simmons to look forward to. And tomorrow we get to finish with the corners and safeties. I don't think we're going to be talking about John Ross's record getting broken. I know there's a guy from Utah, Javelin Goudry. Never heard of him. Never seen an ounce of tape. But I guess he's a speedster. They have a chance. People are saying he could run 4.2s. I really do want to see the corners. I want to see the athletes. Who are going to be the athletes? I think, Jeff Gladney, Trayvon Diggs from Bama. What does Grant Delpit really look like? Javaris Davis from Auburn has a lot of speed. Someone like Cameron Dantzler from Mississippi State. He's gonna be. I think there's a lot of guys that there's questions over just how good of an athlete they truly are at the DB position, and I think it's gonna be pretty damn exciting to see what these guys are. And it definitely be a little bit more exciting than what we saw here today. But those are my winners and losers for the day for D linemen and linebackers. For linebackers, I think the big winner. I think Willie Gay helped himself because of all the red flags, and I think he probably would be the big winner. And it's just that's a lazy answer because obviously just hey look at the guy that did the best and say he was the best. But because of all the red flags, I think he helped himself. I think Khalil Hudson, another guy with some questions, 4.56. He put up 30 reps on the bench press, coming from just no one really knows what happened at Michigan with him. He had one insane year, I think in 2015 or 2016, and I think it was 2016. And then, everyone's like, oh, he's the next Jabril Peppers. Then he kind of fell off. I think he helped himself with the combine here. I think D-line, I think Neville Gallimore, Jabari Zuniga are the big winners there. And then you look for more so the drills and not the profile from the just running and bench press. I think Laurel Murchison looked the best to me in the drills. But we'll be back tomorrow to recap the end of the combine with your DBs. And then, starting Monday, we'll get into the 32-team mocks. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 7 rounds, 4 rounds, something a little bit more digestible. Not sure yet. Probably going to go 7-round mocks and just use the Draft Network's draft tool. But that will be coming very shortly. And obviously, I'm not going to just start doing strictly mock drafts and drop all the mad videos. You're going to be getting double uploads more often than not. So I hope you guys do enjoy that because I'm going to be busting my ass to get you guys that content. But thank you for watching. And as always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying taxes are a bitch. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.